Welcome back to the Brawny is Always Right show, featuring my two subordinate sidekicks. DJ Skywalker, how are you doing tonight?
I'm not sure how to feel about being called that.
Yeah, you should be honored.
I think I need to sue for a better contract.
Heather, how are you doing tonight?
You're not even gonna mark me as the love interest, the sex icon, the freaking girl boss. How could you do this to me? To me! I think I have a better case than DJ.
Yeah, you both could sue me into the floor. There'd be nothing I could do about it.
Damn it.
But that's why this is the Brawny is Always Right show. Because I can pull that kind of crap because I'm always right. Actually, the name of the show is called Brony Debates, and we learn things here. We also make fun of people sometimes. So that's what we're doing tonight, obviously, because I ran out of things to talk about years ago. And outside of these two, nobody really talks to me anymore. So, Heather, what did you dig up for us today?
Well, I went through Reddit. I found a few posts that I thought we could converse about for an extended period of time. And while we're doing that, you're going to hear me curse a few times. It's because I'm putting a ball of yarn together because, like, you know how it usually comes in like a little, like a bundle? Well, it was all messed up. So if you hear me curse, it's because it slipped out of my hands as I'm trying to wind the yarn around this freaking ball.
Clayton has says, haven't you heard Girl Boss went out of style years ago?
Oh, yes, it's all being demure and mindful. I hate that crap. I am not demure. I am not mindful. I'm a demonic being of, I don't know.
Yeah.
Immediately lost energy for that.
Yeah, I can see that. Let's see here. Alrighty then. It looks like I'm getting a lot of ambient noise. I think something went screwy with my sound settings again, but I will mess with that another time. For now, let's go see what Reddit has. And the first thing we have pulled up is, how are the main six not rich?
My answer to that question is, yes, they frickin' are, but Brawny, what do you think?
Let's see what Twilight Tarkle 2, because Twilight Tarkle was already taken, I guess, has to say. Mayors who have saved the world more than a dozen times are the literal bearers maybe, God almighty, of the elements of harmony. One's a princess and the other five are friends with that princess. Like, how are they never once indicated in the show to be rich? Okay, well, firstly,
if they'd not be the kind that would, show their wealth off too much. They're all, except like Rarity will get a little extravagant, but I don't think anyone's arguing that Rarity isn't well off. You don't have more than one, like, you have a franchise of freaking boutiques. There's no way she's not rolling in it.
Yeah. In fact, who was it? Was it Banquo? If that's even how to pronounce his name, one of the newer analysts, is very, very good. Did a breakdown of how much money that, we can guess that Rarity is taking in between all of her boutiques. And he's like, oh yeah, she's a multi-billionaire. Like, she's close to like Bezos levels of how much money that Rarity is taking in. Twilight.
Yeah, and like, let's look. Twilight's a literal member of royalty now. She's got money. She is paid by your taxes, and a lot of them, if I may add.
Yep.
She at least makes as much as the president.
What do you think, DJ?
Well, even from the start, Twilight probably had government funding, probably through a stipend, being the princess's student. Rarity, of course, probably started off small, probably had a small business loan to get her shop going, but once she had the huge clientele, she was rolling in it.
A small loan of $1 million.
Applejack is probably one we could talk about. She doesn't look well off, but they definitely would not be the type to show it. They have, like, the farm, and they obviously sell to filthy rich, but probably a lot of the money they make goes to the expenses of even having a farm. So I probably wouldn't say they're broke. They're probably comfortable. They do well.
Based on what we've seen in the show, they're probably doing just enough because it's clear they have several buildings that need to be torn down and reconstructed, but they don't have the funding for it.
And the fact that they do all the work themselves. They don't have any workers other than themselves. A farm that big, run off of like 4 people, one of them elderly and one of them a child.
In Super Speedy Cider Squeezy 6000, they were worried about losing the farm if they took a deal with the Flim Flams. Something I've heard.
The family have major financial issues for the first couple seasons.
Well, she says that, but that barn didn't look that bad.
Random emerald.
Random Spencer in the background.
Farmers, something I've heard a farmer say is that farming is the only profession where you can have millions of dollars and not see any of it, because the profit margins are really just that thin. And even if you are producing a ton, there's so much going into what it takes to produce that food that it ends up breaking even or taking a loss more often than not. And yeah, small family operation like that, they by the looks of that farm, they're probably sitting on 400 to 600 acres of just apple trees, which are very difficult to maintain, by the way.
Yeah, was not the best. Well, they also have like a carrot farm, it looks like. You know what's going off of a different one? Rainbow Dash probably doesn't make a whole lot of money, seeing as she's like, a member of the military, essentially, or like the Air Force.
Well, she was also a government worker.
I suppose so, which, I assume the benefits are all right, but I don't think she makes a lot of money. And Fluttershy, we never even really got an idea of what her job is. She's not like a vet, because they have a vet in town. She clearly takes care of animals and runs a sanctuary now, but where's the money in that? I assume not a lot?
Yeah, she had, remember when someone tried to sell her a cherry for 20 bits and she's like, shoot, I don't have that much money?
Well, I wouldn't freaking carry $20 for freaking a cherry.
Yeah, well,
and also, who buys cherries by the cherry?
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, that dude only had 1 cherry left, so,
I bet she does pet whispering jobs, because didn't she do that for Rarity in an episode where she went to talk to Opal or whatever?
Yeah, she tried to take care of. I guess people might. Maybe she's an animal specialist, not quite a vet, but like the dog whisperer. But every
and I've
seen
some stories where they have it like Fluttershy is another government worker, but she's like paid to keep the animals comfortable and whatnot, so strays aren't running amok.
Kind of like a ranger or something, but I think they would have made that more apparent. I don't know.
Then
Rainbow, honestly, I think Rainbow's probably rich. I think Rainbow's loaded.
No way. There's no way
she's a minimalist. She has a house that has basically all entirely made of cloud, which means no materials, and the only thing she buys is Daring Do books and Wonderbolts merchandise.
So, I don't know. That memorabilia can be kind of pricey. And look, have you ever gotten a signed book? But to be fair, she is friends with Daring Do. But I gotta say, I don't think I just don't think that, especially with clouds. Like, we don't actually know, because, like, clouds are in the sky all the time, but they have to have a factory to make rainbows, and they make all the weather here. There has to be a value to clouds. I'm sure it's not that much, because basically all it is like water and shit, but even we gotta pay for water.
Well, I think all Rainbow pays for is probably taxes on her house. Other than that, she puts her entire check into
if they're charging property tax for something that is floating above above the town and not connected to any of the utilities and not taking up any actual real estate, I don't know.
It's taking up
the libertarian in me would not tolerate that.
Yeah, it's hard to say, but I am not with you there. I don't think she makes a lot of money. I'm pretty sure she makes decent money, enough to get by.
I'm not saying she makes a lot of money. I'm saying she doesn't spend a lot of money.
Okay, but you did say at some point, like, I think she's rich. No,
I think she's rich because she doesn't spend anything.
I don't think that'd be rich. That would be, like,
as in she's had so much savings built up over the years.
Let me think. Who else? Okay. What
There's-
about Pinkie Pie? Pinkie Pie makes a decent wage, I'd say. She's just a baker
Is
and a
it-
party
Pinkie Pie's
planner.
probably bad with money.
She probably is bad.
That's which is why she doesn't like have her own place. She's up in the loft, the freaking attic bedroom of somebody else's house.
I think she's for Mr. and Mrs. Cake, and you know what? They'd probably be like, yeah, we take rent out of your paycheck.
I bet Pinkie's probably good at getting money, but she's not good at keeping it.
That's a good thought to have.
Because she could probably be like super smart on like all the prices, knowing every single price of everything, single baked good in the entire place. But if you give her one bit and it's gone, and it's gone in half a second.
I can imagine it. Though, so I guess our overall verdict is Rarity, filthy, stinking rich. Twilight, probably. The thing that I want to bring with Twilight, before she became an alicorn, being Celestia's student, I could see that she would get paid, maybe have an allowance, but you think she ever had to work for, like, grants for her study? Like, submit for grants or something?
Probably not. She's probably just covered as
She probably comes from money.
apprentice.
She also probably comes from money, considering her parents live in Canterlot, and they don't seem to have any money issues.
Yeah, her mom is an author, and her dad, I don't know if they officially said, but his name is Nightlight. I can assume maybe he works in, I don't know, what do you call it? What do they call those places where they have, like, the shows that show you, like, the night sky and stuff? What do they call those?
Oh, the planetarium.
Yeah, he probably works at a planetarium. I wouldn't say she's, like, maybe upper middle class. Totally upper middle class.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we can say Rarity rich, Twilight rich now, but before was probably well off. Applejack gets by, comfortable. Pinkie Pie is a rabid spender. Rainbow Dash probably makes okay money, doesn't spend a lot of it because on what? Maybe food. I don't know. And,
Fluttershy's money
who
probably all
else?
goes to animal feed.
Yeah, we don't even
Fluttershy's
know where
money-
Fluttershy's
I don't know.
money comes from. And firstly, for the first 7 seasons, she's an, like, emotional wreck. She would not be able to hold down a job, at least not as, like, us as...
She's definitely not getting money from her family. Like, you see her parents, that's a very average looking house, and he apparently worked as a weather factory for years, her dad, I think they mentioned.
I think she's probably an animal caretaker for the town. She probably takes on babysitting jobs for them and whatnot.
Okay, I could see that.
They probably
Or-
drop them
or,
off at her cottage.
Cordero's old theory was that Equestria is post-scarcity, so, it's entirely possible she doesn't need money in the first place, that nobody needs money in the first place, but, they can do things and work and have it if they want it. So, I don't know. Fluttershy's like official career was never really mentioned. She lives on the outskirts of town by the forest. Generally away from people. And just kind of has a million animals that she's constantly taking care of. Maybe she doesn't need the money. Maybe she just built that house or, moved into something that was already built and didn't really need much and just kind of settled in there, and maybe she gets food from her animals, or
She does have a garden, from what I've seen.
yeah. She's got chickens, so there's eggs if she needs them.
And
if-
probably pretty self-sufficient.
Yeah. So there's that. Pinkie. Yeah, I could see Pinkie like being bad with money, but we also never really saw her with money. But I think the general premise of this question, how are the main 6 not rich? I think that sort of misses the point, because he seems to like thrust this celebrity status onto them.
Like, yeah, you're not
Where-
going to get money for saving the world. Like, do you think they're just like, yay, you saved the world, here's $1 million? They don't even do that for actual war heroes. They're just like, hey,
Yeah.
here's a medal. Go
How
away.
often do you recognize a Medal of Honor recipient on the street?
Yeah.
Exactly. And then, I don't think they'd want that either. And you watch the show, and it's like, even even Twilight was like getting back talk from people who should have definitely known who she is and what she was capable of and what she's done. Just generally, people don't care. Your favorite celebrity would probably pass you by on the street, and the odds that you would even recognize the person are pretty slim, because it takes a lot to recognize people outside of their context. You know, like you could definitely pull somebody, you know, from one show to another when they're like in a camera and a certain light and things like that. But casual clothes, you know, not doing what they do, not doing their thing, just out and about, you're not going to know. You're not going to recognize. And also, ponies are kind of dumb. Fluttershy, you know, was doing the whole avoiding the paparazzi thing in season 1 with a sun hat and sunglasses. Tail out, coat color visible, wings, cutie mark, everything right there is like, okay, she, you know, nobody recognizes her. The second the hat comes off, oh my God, it's Fluttershy.
You know, I was curious, so I decided to look more into like what Nightlight does.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, we don't really have anything official, though the mobile game has it that the house where Velvet and Nightlight live is called the Nightlight Bookbinding House.
Oh,
Interesting.
So it could be he's a bookbinder and she is a writer.
Well, that would make sense for you know how they met, but that's a different time. Oh, I just figured out where Fluttershy gets her money, because I was talking about green isn't your color. All her money comes from royalties from that one, you know, brief period of time she was a model.
I mean, that probably helped.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Photo finish definitely looks like she had a lot of money. You can't act like that and not have a lot of money. It's just and having all those people following you, it just doesn't work that way. You gotta have
Photo finish is probably the best in the land.
Nah, that's me. I'm the best. All right, let's see what the chat has said about this topic. Paladin says, Brawny, you have said many times that you are wrong. Yes, and because I've said that, it means that I'm right about being wrong. So I'm still always right. Even when I'm wrong, I'm still right. Especially if we're talking about colors.
Oh, you're just trying to...
Yeah, we both know that's a lie.
Stop
Stop lying to these people.
Yeah, why you always lying? Gurjillian says, not all heroes become rich, just look at Jesus.
Yeah.
Paladin says, Heather, you are made of sexy and coffee. You have way too much energy. What the frick is made of sexy? Cringe.
Hey, I don't drink that much coffee. It's mostly tea. I drink a lot of tea.
We drink a lot of stuff that's caffeinated, but we don't really drink all that much coffee.
The only reason we have a coffee machine is because your parents bought it because they wanted coffee while they stayed here.
My parents are coffee addicts, yeah. I think your mother is too. Is your mother because your mother stayed a couple
I've told you stories about how she's ticked me off with her coffee obsession.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah, did I tell you one time about how she suffered from withdrawals one time?
Yeah, I remember. Okay, so Clayton is saying, speaking from experience, I'm guessing talking about farmers, the vast majority of your capital is tied up in tools and inputs. So probably things like fuel or... Mega Buster says, ponies probably don't pay near the amount of taxes that we do, so they probably keep everything they earn and pay no property tax. And yeah, they probably also don't have to deal with, like, inflation. I'll bet you Equestria's on the gold standard.
Well, yeah,
I mean, the coins are made of gold,
literally gold coins.
Mm-hmm. Trent wants to know how we're doing. I am so tired. I've been fighting with cameras all day. Well, I wouldn't say fighting. I've been experimenting. I've been playing with my cameras today, and it's been fun. I've enjoyed it. But I slept about 3.5 hours last night, and I've been exercising a good chunk of today on top of messing with cameras. I've taken no breaks. So let's see here. Let's see what the people have said. Sierra EX. Oh, I wonder if that's the same person. And I think it is. It might be the same person that made the backdrop that I use on literally all of my videos. You know, that circle of friendship with the things. It was made by this guy on DeviantArt. Let me see your profile.
Okay, Twilight was given a house.
They all have their own
she
houses.
got that library for free. Technically, the library isn't even her house. It was the public library. And you ever think about how now freaking, what's it called? Ponyville doesn't have a gosh dang library anymore?
How many people outside of Twilight were actually using that library in the first place? Like, that whole time that she lived there, outside of, like, the welcome party that Pinky threw for her in the first episode, did you ever see anybody aside from her in that library?
Yeah, the Cutie Mark Crusaders came around.
Well, they came around, but they weren't really... Like, it took 4 seasons before anybody was in that library outside of... like, I don't know, like a sleepover or something like that.
Also, all of them not needing to worry about their jobs when they have to leave. Pretty much all of them are self-employed, other than Twilight and Rainbow.
Yeah,
and Pinky.
They can plan and fund events on short notice. Rarity can set up a business in a whole other city and hire a big name to run the store. They don't outright say they have a lot of money. It is insinuated in quite a few ways. I don't think flaunting their money would do anything good for their character. Yeah, that would suck. Replies. It is a flaw with the show's message, in my opinion. Not everyone is privileged enough to spend the... It's not about that! It's about the friendship! And we did have episodes that were like, hey, y'all work so much, we haven't seen you in forever. That was Applejack's quote-unquote day off. It's especially noticeable as the show goes on. Early on, Rainbow is a local government employee. Rarity's constantly busy holding down her business, and every other Applejack episode feels like about how the acres are barely staying above the water. Then you go down the line a bit, and it's like, hey, let's take off a trip to a different continent on a whim. The hell is with the downvotes, people? Come on, don't do that. Downvotes are for comments that don't contribute to the discussion, not because you disagree with them. You are on Reddit, sir.
I know exactly what the downvotes are for, when you don't agree with them.
Yeah, you're lucky that you disagreed with the hive mind and you're not banned from the... Like, that's... Reddit runs on liberal logic. What were you going to say, Heather?
I lost my train of thought a little bit. I think it was that, well, it would be very boring if they had to face those same struggles all the time. And like you said, later in the seasons, we did get, like, Applejack having trouble with time management and doing things in an inefficient manner. I mean, and you'd hope, as you progress through life, you get to that point where you can, like, do things a little more easily. Now, of course, in certain jobs, that's just not possible. But like we said, a lot of the main 6 are self-employed, or at least, like, high enough on the, high enough in the ranks of where they are that, like, hey, yeah, they can just go. Because people are also understanding of, oh, yeah, usually when you need to leave at the drop of a hat, it's because the world is in danger and something needs to happen or something's going on. They also have the privilege of knowing the literal ruler of the land who like, as soon as they send out a decree, like, Celestia could write, like, to, like, the Cakes or to the Wonderbolts, like, hey, I need Rainbow Dash to go to Yakistan because the world's gonna end. So if you fire her or don't pay her for her leave for this, I'm going to fucking demolish you. And that's all that has to happen. You gotta remember, they have the advantage of knowing the monarchy.
Yeah.
The main 6 are kind of a privileged group of people, no denying that. But yeah, having the same struggles again and again of like, oh wait, I gotta put in time on my PTO. Oh, I don't have enough PTO to go save the world. That would be stupid.
Yeah, I mean, but we do it to people all the time up here. But The Kevlar Unicorn, because their society is not our society, wherein material wealth is the primary motivator. Twilight clearly doesn't need money, neither does Fluttershy, Rainbow Dash, Pinky, or the others. Very conveniently ducked Rarity right there. So,
well, yeah, he was pointing out the ones that don't need money. Did
yeah,
he say Applejack? Applejack
he
needs
did
money.
not. Yeah, Applejack definitely needs money. The only one who does need money is Applejack. Oh, he said it right there. And that issue seems to go away towards the end of the series.
It doesn't go away. It's just not brought up again.
Yeah, or they got, things running a little bit better.
I think that's too much of a hand wave. Plus, we've seen that they have to pay for things.
Yeah.
They obviously have to go buy food.
And yeah, we
'Cause
see,
they have,
we
like,
see them
a-
have to buy at the market, the food stands, that little cafe.
All right, let's move on here. Does anyone else, I'm not saying any pony unironically here, Speedy Ball, gosh, does anyone else think it would be mean to always hold Pinky accountable for her obtrusive behavior? Oh, we're going to get into some grade A rationalizing here, aren't we?
Yeah, I just thought this was so dumb when I was like, no, yes, of course I'm gonna hold her responsible for her actions. She's not a fucking 5-year-old. She's not a toddler. She's a grown-ass fucking adult. Yeah, sometimes she has a little spastic, and we're not always mad about it, but, like, if she spills an entire plate of guacamole or something, like, I'm gonna be like, what the fuck, Pinky? That was an ass move. She probably would apologize, too. She'd be like, oh, I'm so sorry, and pull another bowl out of her goddamn hair or something. Which I'm going to question. I'm not going to eat it. Not just because I don't want hair in it, but I don't like guacamole.
Right. Now, here's the double-edged sword of this, right? Because I have my moments. DJ has moments. You have moments, Heather. Everybody in the chat, everybody listening has moments where your judgment's going to slip. You're going to offend someone in some way. You got to be able to, like, forgive that type of thing, be forgiven, and move on. Otherwise, there literally is no society. That being said, when you screw up, you do your best to not do it again. That is, that's all to say, like, you deserve forgiveness, but you still need to be held accountable and take account for your actions. So let's see what kind of rationalizing we got here. I wonder what material Pinky is made out of. You see, this deserves a downvote. This does not contribute to the conversation.
Pinky is made of Pinky. That's all we need to know.
In this picture, I think she is made of 1 part forbidden chocolate cake and 2 parts adorableness.
Ronnie, can you share your screen? I can't follow.
Oh, shoot. I
was
forgot to do
watching
that.
the stream.
I wish you all told me that earlier.
Well, I haven't been looking at the screen and haven't needed to because I've been doing yarn stuff. I'm trying to get my crochet project started for tonight. So by the time we start at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, I'll just be ready to do the mindless stuff.
Willyzin says, Pinky is an extrovert who is never taught personal space. Then again, because she frequently breaks physics, ponies are too confused to correct her.
That's true. If you told Pinky... Well, we had a lot of Pinky, like, in, what was it? The one with the smile song. What was it? With Cranky Doodle Donkey. With Cranky Doodle Donkey, we saw a lot of her bypassing barriers and not getting, like, just being like, I want to see this person smile and putting what she wanted before someone else. So she's definitely had to learn a lot on the barriers, but we've seen that it can be learned.
Yeah.
It can be taught.
Let's see here. Fuzzy says, I think so because some of the stuff she does, she just can't help it. But when she oversteps people's boundaries like she did to that donkey one time, so that we're looking for the episode A Friend Indeed, then yes. But being loud and other Pinky stuff, no, that's just who she is.
Yeah, I gotta say, about that donkey episode, I love the beginning, I love the smile song, I love the whole sequence with it. I cannot watch the rest of the episode because I can't stand secondhand embarrassment and a character like Pinky just, like, I don't know if it's secondhand embarrassment, but just like it gives me a pit in my stomach. Like, no, you're doing all the wrong things. Like with a solution that I see is obvious, it's hard for me to watch someone else go through it and have to learn a lesson the hard way, as opposed to someone just taking them aside and be like, dude, stop doing that. They clearly hate it. You're gonna you're just making things worse.
Yeah, and
Like, it's hard for me to watch.
And that type of thing raises, you know, a certain question of duality, because there was a lot of good that came out at the end of that episode. Like you know, Pinky had to go through the whole thing where she was really pissing off Cranky and couldn't do anything right, was breaking his stuff. But then she was able to because she did all that, she was able to figure out you know, who he was and how he was related to Matilda, or, you know, what his relationship to Matilda was.
That's
and got them
another
reunited. Thing. So now you got to ask the question of, do the ends justify the means? Because sometimes you have to go through that in order to get there.
It doesn't, because he just moved to Ponyville. He would have run into her. The town isn't big. He would have been like, oh my god. It would have happened regardless. Pinky was lucky she put it together faster so that she could, like, make amends with Cranky Doodle Donkey, but he would have figured out she lived there eventually anyway.
You think so? He seemed like a bit of a recluse. Like, his whole thing was just like, I'm going to come here. I'm going to just go be alone for the rest of my life and just chill.
He would have to go to the market at some point, and you'd think someone would have brought up, like, especially, like, any other sociable person, be like, hey, Mulia, did you hear that a new guy named Cranky Doodle Donkey moved in? And she goes like, wait a minute, Cranky Doodle Donkey?
That guy that I had a one-night stand with?
Yeah, exactly. I would have been like, dude, she would have found out they would have found out about each other whether or not Pinky was involved or not. It's not a big town. Word gets around. There's not a lot of donkeys that live in freaking Ponyville, like the Ponyville, so someone would have told them about each other.
Yeah.
Pinky did not need to be involved in this equation.
I think since Cranky came to town, there's only the two. There's three. There's Mulia, there's Matilda, there's Cranky, and then there's that one, and then there's one mule. Or is Mulia a mule as well? I think she's a mule as well. So there's 2 mules and 2 donkeys. All right, nobody has anything to say to that. Okay, I think she should learn to be less obtrusive, and I'm sure there's ways she can learn without being mean. Yeah, I could buy that. I mean, you try the thing that Heather said. You take her aside. I feel like throughout the series, she's been taken aside a couple of times, and then sometimes she gets it if the episode is about her, and then if the episode is not about her, she doesn't get it, at least for another 15 minutes of screen time. Shoot, when was she taken aside and was just like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll pull back here. I can't think of that, but one point to the latter, you know, when the episode is about her and she has trouble learning, is that one where Maud first comes home with the boyfriend, and Pinky's trying to throw her a party, and Maud's like, please don't. And then Pinky also hates the boyfriend.
You know, that was a tough one, because to be fair, Maud had never actually said, hey, I don't like a party. She went with it because Maud has to think of, like, she'll go with anything to make Pinky happy.
Yeah.
Like a very good older sister, but, like, you know, she admitted it at least when freaking Mudbriar brought up, like, hey, your sister actually doesn't like parties. And Pinkie Pie's like, what? That's not true. She's never said that. Goes to her, and she's like, well, I know that you love to put them on, and I love when you're happy. And it's like, what? And end solution was still her putting together a party and Maud not having to be at the party, but she loved that her sister still threw a party for her. And that was weird and convoluted. But yeah. I think it's also that, like, in a weird way, Pinky got jealous because she was going to have less time with her sister because there's now another person in the picture who potentially is more important. So there's a lot going on there. That's not an everyday thing.
Yeah. Let's see here. Speedy Ball said, I think Pinky is learning over the course of the show, but I also think it takes a lot of time to learn just how to pick up on social cues. So if you didn't when you were young, I don't believe that simply telling Pinky what she did was wrong would be positive for her. Her intentions are already in the right place. I will say this, Pinky does, like, go back and forth on how well she picks up on social cues. Because, she knew not to try to prank Fluttershy. Because Fluttershy would not be receptive to pranks. She did not know to not get up in Fluttershy's face and tell her about, oh dang, you were up on that stage and everybody was looking at you and that must have been so embarrassing, while literally climbing her walls.
Oh, Pinkie Pie.
Yeah, so Pinky has her moments, that's for sure. DJ, I haven't heard from you in a little while. Do you have any thoughts you want to share?
No. With Pinky, it's always hard to tell because she's always trying to come from a good place, but like, you got to be able to set the boundaries, and sometimes she doesn't respect that. So you got to get a little stern with the old punk every now and then.
Yeah, someone validate that one theory I had where if the episode is not about her, you can tell her something directly, and she'll get the hint without too much trouble. Can anybody remember a specific example off the top of my head, off the top of their head, or am I just talking out of my tail end here?
I'd have to remember specific instances, which is just so difficult to do.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to look at an episode list real quick. My Little Pony Friendship is Magic episode list. There we go. Let's see if I can just kind of run this down here. Friendship is Magic, Ticketmaster, nothing really happened there. Well, Ticketmaster might be an example. No, she was pestering Twilight a lot in that one.
They all kind of came together and realized they were being jerks.
Yeah. Shoot. Green isn't your color. She was kind of the driving force of the lesson behind that one of hey,
Don't tell
your
people secrets.
Yeah, your friends need to be able to trust you to keep a secret. Over a barrel, it was the driving force of that message as well, just in the worst way possible. Party of one? Nope, that wasn't that. Let's see here. The best night ever might have been an example.
Yeah, she immediately got like, oh, you guys don't like to party like that. So she tried several different things trying to party the way they party, but she didn't quite get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a chance I might be mistaken on this one. Because I'm just scrolling through the episodes real quick here, and I'm trying to find an episode where Pinky needed to be corrected on something, and it just worked without it turning into the whole episode. If it ever happened, it might have been in Games Ponies Play. Because they were trying to impress that one chick who they thought was the Equestria Games director.
Yeah.
And they corrected course a few times in that episode for, various reasons.
They have to.
Yeah, man, Pinky, I'm looking through these, and Pinky does not do a whole lot unless she's the center of the episode.
Yeah, she's the comedic relief character, so that's probably going to be the case quite often.
Yeah. Thanks for the memories. She had the Applejack cries on the inside line.
She do.
Mm-hmm. Party pooped might have been one where, she course corrected a whole bunch trying to figure out how to impress the yak. So that might have been an example. Let's see here. Just came back and looked at the chat real quick. Mega Buster Shepherd says Pinky has low impulse control. Battleship goes, Heather, did I ever mention how lovely you are? The fricky you do in flirting with my wife in my chat. It's like he has a death wish, Heather. Let's move on.
That's none of my business.
Yeah. Let's see, which important lesson that was taught or learned by an MLP character had a positive impact on you? If you have any triggering subjects, try to keep it subtle. No, if you have any triggering subjects, bring it to the forefront so that we can mature as adults and learn how to handle heavy topics. The world
honey,
is
there
not...
might be children on this subreddit.
You're right. Never mind.
Why are children on a subreddit?
Because they have
That's
access
also
to
a
their
valid
internet,
point.
and their parents don't monitor them.
Okay, but that is the responsibility of the parents.
I agree with you. I agree,
Reddit
but
18
this
plus
is
or 13?
specifically.
You gotta
I think
Reddit
it's
is
13 plus.
Reddit is
13+.
13 plus. They have a lot of 18 plus on there, but you know.
But this is specifically a subreddit for the show My Little Pony, Brawny. Can you remind me who the target demographic for this show was?
I'm gonna invoke our one friend Heather, and you're gonna know exactly who I'm talking about. Technically, Lauren Faust wanted this to be enjoyed by all age groups. There is no real target demographic. Bronies are
Well, then we
quite
can say that
possibly
this was,
Bronies are
at
quite
all
possibly
ages.
the most diverse fandom.
and I would say with it being like an all ages thing, that it has to be appropriate for all ages, and that's why My Little Pony didn't put in a lot of triggering subjects. So maybe you shouldn't put it on their subreddit.
You know what? Yeah, you're right. I mean, I don't expect it to be kids or people under 13 or even under 16 for the most part on Reddit. The you know, the average Reddit user is darn near 40, but you do have a point. So let's see here. I'll go first. I have a lot that I learned, but one of them really stuck out to me. I learned an important lesson from Fluttershy. The lesson came from the episode Hurricane Fluttershy. The lesson involved being confident, not being afraid to perform in front of others, and that every part counts. The main lesson of the episode was self-love and seeing your worth. I struggle a lot with self-love and seeing my worth, but this episode really spoke to me. Okay, I'm going to say this real quick. I think you missed the point of the episode. I think you're just a little off the mark there. However, if that's what you got out of the episode and it's had a positive effect on your life, I'm very glad about that. You hold on to it. What's your name? The Fox Lover 16. So yeah, hold on to that. Heather, what about you? What's your answer to this question?
You're gonna hate this, but magical mystery cure.
Yeah, well, I feel like I knew that. And I feel like you've explained it before, but tell me again.
I really liked Magical Mystery Cure for a variety of different reasons. But it taught me, and I'm sure it wasn't the lesson of the episode, the big lesson was that, you can't always remind your friends of who they are, but you can remind them of who their friends are and what they mean to each other, which is nice. But I also like the Emperor She Became Princess. I'm Princess Heather P. Blossom, and seeing Twilight achieve something like this, come to such a large understanding of friendships and familial relationships to the degree where she became a princess, made me realize, because I've identified so much with that character, that I am also capable of achieving such great things, and I too can become an alicorn princess. And I that's the one that leaves me with the most, because I was never happy with my OC before then, because I didn't want to commit to just one species of pony, because nothing felt right. I didn't feel academic enough to be a unicorn. I didn't feel like athletic that I feel a lot of unicorns present themselves, Pegasi present themselves as. Earth ponies, I just found nothing to relate in any single division, you know? But putting it all together into an alicorn where you're supposed to be more balanced in a combination of different features just really felt more right. And because of this episode, I felt, yay, hey, that can be what it can be. And I feel like it was the series giving me permission to do so, even though it wasn't, but I did it anyway. So that's how I felt.
Alrighty then. How about you, DJ?
I'm not sure if I have one that was a positive impact, but the one I appreciate the most will probably be Slice of Life.
Ooh, yeah, that is a really good one, but tell me why.
I like the idea of bringing to the forefront that everyone is the center of their own story. Stories that may never actually be told in the forefront, but you know what? They're happening. People's lives continue onward, and there's always a story there to tell. Whether it's the forefront of another story or it's happening in the background of another. I just find that kind of heartwarming and something to look into for all writers.
There's a German word for that, and something about the German language has very specific words for highly complex concepts. But I'm gonna type this out on Google and try to find it again real quick. Let's see here. Oh, it's not like one of those long German words. The word Sonder is used to describe the realization that everyone has a complex life just like your own. The word was coined by John Coig. I'm gonna copy and paste that name into the chat, and somebody can correct me if I mispronounced it. Let's see here. Yeah, for his online dictionary of obscure sorrows. So yeah, and I get like that sometimes too. I'll just be driving around and I'm like, dang, there's got to be 10,000 people on I-4 alone right now. And every single one of them is going through probably something similar or worse to whatever I'm, also on I-4 for some reason at this moment. You imagine how complicated your own life is, all your friends, all your family, everything you've been through, and your responsibilities, and you look at every single car that's filled with at least one person going through the exact same thing. So,
I kind of like that because it makes me feel less alone. In fact, I used to think about that a lot when I was younger. Like, I'd go through something and I'd think about it and I'd be like, I bet there's other people who've gone through the same things I have and feel the way I feel. And you go online to read books and you're like, yes, there are people that have felt the way I do. And though we all want to be special in our own way, it's nice to know that you're not alone in particular experiences.
I don't think... To answer the question myself, I don't think I could pin it down to one episode. I was able to take something away or heavily relate to just about all of them. And season 7 especially, I felt like somebody was following me. One of those writers had been following me around and writing the episodes. And that's why, like, in A Buck to the Face, if anybody even remembers that show anymore, season 7 has been about Brawny dealing with a similar issue as to the main issue of each one of those episodes on this journey of self-improvement. So yeah, season 7 in particular hit very close to home for me, and so did a lot in season 5. I don't think I could post it down to any one particular episode, at least off the top of my head, though. Let's see what some of these comments have said. Sounds of silence. Anger is a healthy emotion. Just don't let it all out on your friends and family. I don't know about healthy emotion. It's very easy for anger to get out of control and have it do some crazy things to yourself and others. It's a valid
handle the anger.
Yeah, it's a valid emotion. If you If you're angry, it usually means something went wrong or you're being mistreated. As long as you're like a rational person with some, perspective and self-awareness, and then you can, if you're angry, it probably means that you were being mistreated, and being angry is a valid valid response to being mistreated. And you use the emotion to then dictate your rational course of action. Okay, so you ask yourself, okay, I'm angry. Why am I angry? What am I going to do to solve the anger? Don't start with revenge. So I mean, I didn't get one sentence in here. I'm a very, let's say, emotional person at times. But then comes the moment when I'm really angry for a reason or not, and I let my emotions get out of control on many occasions, and it leads to many bad situations. Yeah, so you gotta be able to manage it. This episode came out when I was like 19 or 20. Turns out I really needed a friendship lesson in my life. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's because, anger doesn't have to be a bad emotion. It's a natural response to something upsetting, and what matters is how you let it out. And if you let it out in a constructive or, at the very least, unharmful way, like venting to your friends or punching something. You know what this reminds me of? What's the name of that one anime that's, very simply drawn? It's about this kid who's annoying little brat. It used to go on Adult Swim. There was this mom who would get really, really pissed off, and her way of venting this anger would be to get a bunny plushie out of somewhere and just start beating the crap out of it. Like, full on, she'd be putting it up against the wall and punching it. And I think at one point there was an episode where she got on some wrestling gear and just freaking suplexed the thing. And her daughter ended up showing the same kind of thing. Whenever she got angry, she'd pull a bunny doll out of somewhere, go find a private place, and just start punching it and punching it. And I remember this being like a part of shame for this woman when she realized her daughter was also doing it. But I'm like, why are you ashamed? That is a very healthy way to vent your frustration. You're beating up an inanimate object that is, and it's one that you won't break. It's a plushie. There's nothing wrong with beating the crap out of a plushie if that's what you need to do, man. And it's good that your daughter learned to vent her anger in that way, as opposed to beating the shit out of other kids or something.
Yeah. I will say this, though. It is extremely important to be able to vent your anger initially on something that ideally won't break. As long as you are working yourself to a state of mind where you can then solve the issue. Because otherwise, the only thing you're doing is putting it off. And when you put off a problem like that, it just gets worse.
Yeah, totally. But I think the habit and the practice was good.
Mm-hmm. DJ, what do you think about this interpretation of that episode?
I'll be honest, I don't remember that one very well.
You don't remember the Kierans?
I remember the song, but other than that, it was.
Yeah, so they were basically, and I feel like this person missed the mark a little bit of what this episode was actually about, but that's fine. This was if there's a negative consequence to your emotion, then the Kieran's solution to that was to repress the emotion entirely. But that just sucks out your humanity, right? And it's actually not healthy to repress emotions like that. The emotions are part of being human, and there's also elements of being yourself despite society's expectations.
I think there was an underlying.
Go ahead, Heather.
I was going to say, I think there was also an underlying lesson about communication where Fluttershy had answers and stuff, and the only reason that it didn't get out faster was because Applejack was not listening to her. And she did put her foot down at one point, and that's what sparked on the imminent danger of being put into that stream. But there was the underlying thing of hey, don't let your emotions go crazy, still listen to people when you're feeling things.
Yeah, learn how to manage you know, you learn how to manage those emotions, and it helps. So let's see what else we got here. We got about 5 minutes left. Let's see here. I love this question. I can't answer it now as I haven't watched MLP. And oh my God, then why are you here? Downvote. Let's see here. Bab's seed about telling the stuff, but actually I don't apply it because I'm really reserved. Okay, so Bab's seed, one bad apple handled that lesson horribly, and they did it for, you know, cultural reasons that I understand. If they had actually given good advice in that episode, then it would have gotten pulled because, you know, uppity Karen.
That episode is not very good.
Uppity Karen mothers would have gotten very upset. That, you know, the whole show could have been in jeopardy there. But there is something to be said for, you know, communicating what's going on and understanding it. But their solution to everything it was just so victim blamey, and I hated it. Let's see here.
Thank you.
Let's see. I think technically anything that Twilight taught has had a positive impact to me personally. The others I just ignored, but I plan to rewatch MLP and hear the lessons others have. Ambitious Hole 6606. May I recommend you a Brony show called Moral of the Story? Man, I'm just on my own freaking jock.
High off your own
tonight.
supply.
Yeah. Anyway, one more here. Big Wet Noodle. Oh, we're at the bottom of the thread anyway. The episode where all of Ponyville helps Rainbow Dash study for her Wonderbolts exam. I saw myself so much in her struggling to study. You have ADD. Or learn mostly because I wasn't being taught in a way that suited my needs. It taught me that it's okay to be less rigid with my studying techniques as long as I'm absorbing the information in a meaningful way. Also, a little less important but as impactful was Cadence and Twilight doing the deep breath. Oh, that's actually really good. Yeah. Valid. Big Wet Noodle. Good on you. Those were important lessons. All right, we're gonna cap it there so Heather has time to get ready for her show, which I hope you will all...
Oh, shoot. I better get ready.
Yeah, we will. I hope you will all go straight over there. What are you doing tonight, Heather?
Chaos and Crochet. I've already started the project, and I'm going to leave you now so I can go get the drinks. You know it's going to be Poggers. Use code PrincessPoggers at PoggersLifestyle.com to get 10% off.
Those links will be in the description of her video. Poggers actually carried me through this stream tonight because, like I said, I'm sleep deprived here, so... I needed a little pick-me-up to get through it. But anyway, we've got a couple more threads to get through next week. So we will catch you all next time. I hope you enjoyed the show tonight. Thanks to everybody who tuned in. DJ, did you have fun tonight?
It's always fun.
Good. I love having you around, man.
Yeah.
So, you know, thanks everybody who tuned in. Thanks everybody who supports, especially on the $10 and up tier, such as Heather, Shady, Autoknight, Emerald, Senko, DJ who's with us, Rain, Billy, Alden, Kanto, Sonic, Alicia, Calbic, StarChaser, VentureCorp, Willyzin, Icanus, Vulpecula, Talon, Jimmy, Yoshi, and Dark Malcontent. Check out all those links in there, all their links in the description, and all of the links of how you can support the channel and what you get in return. Until then, we'll see you next week. Actually, we'll see you just in a few minutes on Heather Blossom's stream. There's 10 people still watching. I better see every last one of you in there. Stay safe. God bless. Have a wonderful evening. Say goodnight, DJ.